Chapter 59. Ashley adored Grazé. The dog took the next corner too fast, sliding, then rolling, smashing into the wall against his back, scrambling to his feet and leaping into the air. He made her laugh, even now, in an emotional place of ruin. His enthusiastic determination was adorable. She wanted to pick him up, squeeze him, and never let him go. But he had to find Charlie. The little dog was so full of life, love, and goodness. When Tina told her how Grazé sniffed his way to save her from Ron, Ashley was struck. She couldn't help it. He was the best. Who knew the horrors she would have endured if Grazé hadn't found her when he did? Just thinking about Ron blended nauseation and anxiety within her. His stink still clung to her, and so instead of breathing through her nose, she used her mouth. Turning the next corner, she tripped on her own legs. Jeff lunged forward to catch her, but she didn't fall. She felt clumsy and stupid, though. Her lanky legs weren't as wobbly as when she first woke, so she didn't have that excuse now. She cursed herself under her breath. She wanted to take a steaming hot shower, washing everywhere Ron had touched. She wanted the traces of him completely removed. He didn't belong on her. Smelling him, remembering it, disgusted her. Why were perverts attracted to her? She was too bony, her legs too long for her body, and her arms reached further down than other girls' arms. She thought her face was her prettiest feature, but her eyes were bigger than average, and her lips too pouty. She had bushy eyebrows, which required plucking every few days, and her ears and cheeks were higher than she thought they should be. Even Jeff, who was a nice man, had to look away when she was clothed in underwear. Her body evidently had been objectionable. She could understand him looking away to respect her privacy, but his glance didn't even linger like men's often do on beautiful women. Maybe Jeff even blamed her for what had happened with Ron. Grazé took another turn way too fast, sliding into the wall, then springing diagonally back to the middle of the hall, falling on all fours. Tina giggled softly and managed to get in one quick pet on his back before he shot back down the hall. Ashley slowed for the turn, trying to make her uncoordinated legs not trip again and cause Jeff to plow into her this time, delaying everyone and perhaps causing injury to him. Maybe she was sick inside. That could be the reason perverts got turned on by her. She might be similar to them, and they sensed it and were drawn to her. She didn't normally feel sick, except for now, after Ron had used her. But maybe she had been perverted from the beginning. First, her own mother neglected her. Then Carlos abused her, and now Ron. These series of wrongs had to have meaning. God had allowed these things to happen. She was being punished. There was something inside her requiring correction. She had done some ill, but couldn't comprehend what. Maybe when she had been asleep, she sinned unaware. But the abuse from Carlos happened before that, didn't it? Or was her whole life just memories in a dream? No, it wasn't. But she couldn't remember when she began sleeping. Laura had said it was 3 weeks ago. What if she miscalculated, though? And it was longer. What if they had been asleep for years? Ahead, a red exit sign pointing right hung from the ceiling. Hope rose inside of her, and she increased her pace, but Grise and Tina passed it without stopping. Why wouldn't they check it out? As she came to the sign, she slowed and looked right, and found only a short corridor which dead-ended, no doors or elevator. Maybe she was being tormented for not being nice enough. She cared for people and animals, but perhaps not enough. Although she saved Pixie, that was in the dream. She tried to save Tina, but that was in the dream too. And it was wrong. Tina didn't need to go back to the dream world. She had been in the right place in reality. Ashley really had been trying to get her friend back to sleep. Did she do anything good in real life? She knew that she had never done great acts like curing hundreds of people as doctors do, or causing important change in society like Gandhi. But few people did those things, and she seemed to be the one targeted for punishment. What had she done that was so wrong? She didn't like her mother much. That was probably it. She should feel more love for her mother. Children are supposed to love their mother unconditionally, even if she isn't perfect. Mom was far from perfect. A child molester was invited into their home by Mom. After Ashley told Carlos had raped her, her mother hadn't believed her. Mom couldn't bear life without Carlos, so couldn't accept the truth. But maybe not. Did Mom need Carlos that badly? What mother would need a man that much? He wasn't even good to her. He called her a whore and a bitch, yelled at her and slapped her around. Maybe Ashley had attracted the sick man to the family, harming herself and her mother. Maybe if she hadn't existed, Carlos wouldn't have stayed long enough to slap Mom around. Ashley should love her mother. Mothers were the ones who brought children into the world. Without Mom, Ashley wouldn't even exist. The woman deserved more than a daughter's unforgiving bitterness. This was probably the reason Ashley was being punished. Grise skidded to a stop beside a door and began sniffing under the crack at the bottom. He whimpered and scratched the floor. "This is it." Tina sounded uncertain and sad. "What's wrong?" asked Jeff, coming up behind them. "I don't know. I think he's gone." "Why?" "It just feels like it." She looked down, and tears fell off her. Ashley hugged her friend. "It's going to be all right." She felt her words as empty and uncaring, despite them bringing Tina's head up. How could an unloving, ungrateful, bitter person such as herself comfort someone as sweet as Tina? This girl deserved someone better, special, capable of greater love and understanding. "He's got to be here somewhere," Jeff reassured Tina. "I think he's dead," she sobbed. "Nonsense." He tried the door. It opened. He and Ashley walked inside. On the bed closest to the door lay Charlie. Jeff moved to the bed, while Tina stood at the entrance, not taking one step inside the room. Ashley was worried for her, so she went back beside her. Jeff felt for a pulse on Charlie's neck. He put his hand in front of Charlie's nose. He looked back at them, sadness pulling on his cheeks. He walked to Tina, lowering himself to his knees, and while holding her hand, he softly said, "I'm sorry." Tina fell in Jeff's arms. Grise licking her legs and whining. Ashley felt so bad. How could this have happened? Where was Laura? She promised them no one would die when she killed them in the dream world. Had she somehow failed to get Charlie out? They needed her. What had happened to her? Ashley put her arms around Tina's back, holding the trembling girl, feeling inadequate to make her feel better, but trying anyways. What a terrible thing for Tina to go through. And only minutes ago, Ashley had been self-absorbed with the abuse from Carlos that ended 2 long years ago. She held Tina tighter, trying to drive out her own selfish thoughts of being violated, manipulated, and used, trying to focus on her friend's tremendous loss. Mom was right. Ashley was self-centered. As she finally drove out, the last fleeting memories of Carlos, thoughts of her own father abandoning the family filled her mind. He must have recognized Ashley's worthlessness, causing him to leave forever. She hadn't known him long. It must be harder to have had a father for as long as Tina, and then lose him. She squeezed the girl tighter, partly for Tina, but mostly to hold herself together. Ashley was selfish. She should love her mother more. After a few minutes, Tina asked, "How did it happen?" "I don't know, honey," Jeff replied, eyes moist. "We'll find out, I promise." Despite attempts to push it away, Ashley felt full of guilt. Perhaps if they had come to Charlie's room first, he would still be alive. Instead, they came to Ashley's room. She wasn't worth Tina hurting so badly. They should have left her alone with Ron. She might have deserved it anyways. She was an ungrateful, selfish child, just like her mother always told her. Ashley cried hard, feeling lost and so ashamed.